Hello, welcome on board this journey as we take a trip to learn how to teach coding to kids, even as we learn the basic principles of coding ourselves. And we're using the language called Scratch. Scratch is a visual language that comes with its own editor. As you can see, this is the Scratch offline editor, and it looks so much like the online um, version, which would require us to have internet access to be able to create our project. Now, we looked at how to make our characters, which we call sprites, um, have a conversation in the last video. You remember we said the cats would start the conversation. Um, that video was titled "Make Them Have a Conversation." Um, so the cat had to start the dialogue or the conversation, and he went. He said the first one, so that's why we have the block here for 2 seconds. Now, if you look at Abby's code, the second sprite, Abby would wait for 2 seconds once the program starts, so that it would be a give and take. In other words, Abby would not be talking while our kitty cat was talking. Okay, and next, after Abby waited 2 seconds while the kitty cat was talking, our cat would also talk for 2 seconds. Yeah, and sorry, Abby would talk for 2 seconds, and while that is happening, our cat would wait. Yes, our cat would be waiting. Alright. Now, in this video, we will be looking at how to create a math quiz. Okay, and that project is going to help us explore another principle of coding. You remember we said on one of the earlier videos that there were 3 principles of coding. Okay, the sequence principle, the selection principle, and the repetition principle. So far, we have seen the sequence principle, which this project also examines. We've seen the repetition principle, the one that has the loops, where we take advantage of the patterns anytime we have blocks that repeated a couple of times. Now we want to take a look at the selection principle, the one that helps our program have the power of making choices on which code to execute and which one not to execute. Okay, so we will be closing this. Now remember to save your work. Don't forget to save your work each time you're done with your work. Yes, we're going to be replacing it. Alright, so let's go create a new project. Yes, now we're going to change the name of our project. We're going to call it Math and Quiz. Okay, now we've named it Math Quiz. So how would we go about a math quiz? Basically, a math quiz would consist of showing the player a question and allowing the player to provide an answer to the question, and after that we would check if the player's answer is correct. If the player's answer is correct, then we would say congratulations, they passed, and then give them a score, alright, or increase their score. And if they didn't get it correct, then we wouldn't increase the score. We would just say, okay, sorry, try again next time or something. Okay, but you got the concept. Basically, we're going to be checking. We'll ask a question, then we're going to check, allow the player to provide an answer, then we'll check if that answer is correct. Now, did you notice I said check if the answer is correct? So we're going to be comparing the answer provided by the player with the answer that's correct. Alright, so technically we know the correct answer. Alright, so that's basically what we'll be doing. So the first thing we're going to do is to ask the question, and Scratch has a very beautiful block for that. That block would be found under sensing. Okay, so you can see the ask block right there. Alright, but before we go for it, let's go for our first block. Yep, that's it. When flag is clicked, the green flag is clicked. Now we can go for the sensing immediately and ask the question. Okay, so there's a default question there. What is your name? So we would change the content of that block by saying what is the product of 2 and let's say 10. Of course, we know the product of 2 and 10 is 20, right? Okay. Alright, so ask and wait. The wait will allow the player to enter the answer or what they think the answer is. Alright, now for us to have the selection, this is where the selection principle comes in. We're going to need an if statement. Okay, now check it out. If the answer is the correct answer, tell him it's correct. Alright, so we're going to check under control and we'll see we have an if statement. Okay, we have an if block, if then block, and we also have an if then else block. So we'll be using the if then else block like that. Okay, and we're going to have we're going to be checking if the answer provided by the player in the variable called answer, this one, is equal to 20. Now checking for equality in programming is another challenge, so we need to take note of that challenge. Okay, checking for equality is a challenge in itself. Okay, now for us to check for equality, we'll go under operators, and we have you can see we have different operators right there, right? So to check for equality, we're going to use this. Okay, so you drag it. Can you see there's a place where that's neatly created for it, and once we drop it, we can change what's in here. So we're going to be checking if what the player provided is equal to 20. Now the player's answer would be stored in a variable called answer, and it fits in there nicely. So basically our code is saying if answer is equal to 20, okay, what are we going to do? Alright, so we're going to tell the player he's correct. We're going to do that in the next video. Guess how we're going to do it? Right.